The first step of carving a bowl is to get the wood from any source available for you and prepare a blank for carving. When you don't know where your ruler is, take a sword. It doesn't have to be much, but you better have approximate dimensions of the actual bowl. It will be just a faster and easier process to do. I use the saw to cut the pieces out, a draw knife to basically smooth out and allow the pencil to go, and that's basically it. Perhaps part is done. This will be a spoon, and this will be a bowl, hopefully. After getting a blank, you need to do the layout. As usual, I'm using any random objects that fit the task. After that is done, it's time for some action. I'm using a tool called adze or bowl carving adze, which is a specialty tool for the job. Mine is quite small and light, so I'm using it with a mallet. Not sure if it's the right way to do, but it seems to work for me. A small bowl like this really likes running away from me, so I prefer using a vise. Larger bowls don't fit the vise, but are more stable, so it's okay. It took me about 30 minutes to rough out the bowl, and the next I'm trying to smooth out the inside of the bowls using a spoon gouge I have and using a hook knife, but I'm still failing to do that. Okay, so not exactly failing because the tools I have are quite sharp and they're nicely working, and I'm making such a nice curls, and I don't know, it's so much enjoyable process to use spoon gouge in the vise. So much enjoyment. The problem I'm having is that I'm not actually getting very smooth surface. I suspect my gouge is not exactly as sharp as I would want them to be, or there's not exactly good for carving a wet wood, but anyways, this is so gorgeous, the end result. It got a little bit worse when it dried, but it's still good. And the next stage, I need to carve the outside, and I started with the axe, but because the shape of the bowl blank was already like pre-shaped naturally, it didn't take too long. So basically the axe took maybe 10 minutes, and then I switched my draw knife, and then I made these curly handles using a draw knife, a little bit of hook knife to just refine the shapes, again the draw knife. I tried to use a spoke shave a little bit, but for this project I actually ended up using mostly the draw knife. So this is basically the rough shape of the bowl. I tried to wait for a few days until it dries, use a little bit of microwave, but then switch to smoothing it. For now, I'm unable to get a clean surface right after carving, so I need to smooth them somehow. I hate sandpaper, so trying to use these magical card scrapers whenever I can. For accessible surfaces like outside the bowl, scraping actually went quite well. I was getting very nice little happy curls and barely any unhappy sawdust. Unfortunately, my struggle is real for inside of the bowl, so after trying a few minutes I sentenced the bowl for smoothing by sanding and used my sanding on a drill press technique. Sanding on a drill press is the best way I currently know how to smooth out the surface and make the wood really shiny. The longest, about 20 minutes, and the most dust producing stage was using a 80 grit sanding disc. Other 180 to 140 and polishing 320 grit took only about few minutes each, as I only needed to remove the scratches and not actually remove much of material. The bowl is now looking really good, but I decided to make it a little bit more special by simple carving. I was struggling to decide what I can do given my abilities, and come up with very trivial triangle pattern that I could do with just a carving knife. While these don't look too much now, after a tiny bit of sanding and then applying my favorite finish, these triangles really popped up. I'm applying food-safe boiled linseed oil and just enjoying the process, so you can also enjoy it. This is so pretty, and these tiny carvings, it makes such an interesting effect. I like it.